30th April 1975. The Vietnam War was over. The last of American helicopters had left Saigon. For the world, it marked the end of a devastating conflict. For Vietnam, it marked the beginning of an even bigger battle, the battle against poverty. Entire cities lay in ruins. Roads, bridges, and factories had been destroyed. The economy was isolated. Inflation was rampant, and food shortages were common. Hardly anybody believed that Vietnam would ever recover. Forget about people thinking that Vietnam could become a success story in manufacturing. Yet 50 years later, the same country has become a critical link in global supply chains. Samsung manufactures a large share of its smartphones in Vietnam. Apple suppliers like Foxconn, Luxshare, and Gore-Tex have rapidly expanded there. Intel operates one of its largest chip assembly and testing facilities in the country. Merchandise exports are now roughly equal to Vietnam's annual GDP, making Vietnam one of the world's most export-oriented economies. Now consider India, a nation which is 14 times bigger in terms of population, the world's fastest growing large economy, and a global software powerhouse. Yet for years, many global companies have chosen to expand their manufacturing in Vietnam before making comparable investments in India. But why? Was Vietnam cheaper? No. That is the biggest myth in the entire story. If cheap labor alone created manufacturing champions, dozens of poorer countries would dominate electronics globally. They don't, because global CEOs do not make their investment decisions worth billions of dollars just based on wages cost of today. They invest based on one question: where can my business operate with least risk for next 20 years? And that question, my friends, changed Vietnam's future. Before we move forward, please do consider subscribing to the channel if the subjects of business, finance, and economy are of your interest. In 1986, the country launched Doi Moi, a bold program of economic reforms that opened the economy, encouraged private enterprises, and welcomed foreign investments. The reforms were gradual, but the message was very clear. Vietnam wanted to become a trusted manufacturing partner. Industrial parks were built, exports became a national priority. Trade agreements connected Vietnam to major global markets. And most importantly, the country built confidence. And then, history handed over an opportunity to Vietnam that no one ever predicted. A geopolitical rivalry between two superpowers would completely reshape the global manufacturing. It was called China Plus One, and it would change not only Vietnam's future but of India's as well. Around 2018, the rules of global manufacturing began to change. The US-China trade war increased tariffs. Then came COVID-19 pandemic, exposing the risk of relying on one single country for all critical supply chains. For global CEOs, one lesson was very clear: efficiency without resilience was a major risk. And the new strategy emerged: China Plus One. The goal was not to leave China, but to build an alternative manufacturing base somewhere else. Every major emerging economy wanted that opportunity: India, Indonesia, Thailand, Mexico. But Vietnam was ready before most of them. Why? Because it had spent 3 decades preparing for the moment that nobody had predicted. Imagine that you are a CEO of Samsung, planning to open multi-billion-dollar factories. Your biggest concern isn't finding cheapest workers. It's all about finding answers to these 4 questions. Can my suppliers deliver on time? Can my goods reach global markets quickly? Will government policies remain predictable? And the 4th one, can this factory still be competitive 10 years from now? Vietnam had convincing answers. Modern industrial parks were located close to the ports. Free trade agreements gave manufacturers preferential access to major global markets. investment procedures became simpler, and an expanding supplier network reduced production costs. That is why Samsung kept expanding, and when Samsung expanded, hundreds of supplier base kept following. Soon, Apple's manufacturing partners, including Foxconn, Luxshare, and Gore-Tex, also increased production. One successful investment attracted another. That's how successful manufacturing ecosystems are built. But Vietnam's success also gives us a very important lesson. Factories don't create ecosystems. Ecosystems create factories. Now compare this with India. India was not following Vietnam's model. Its economy grew through software, pharmaceuticals, financial services, and a massive domestic market. Manufacturing became a strategic priority much later. Over the last few years, however, India has accelerated dramatically. PLI, which is Production Linked Incentive Schemes, new expressways, dedicated freight corridors, port modernization, and rapid growth in electronics manufacturing are changing the investment landscape. Today, smartphones have become India's largest export category by value, driven by companies like Apple significantly expanding production. The race has changed. Vietnam has proved that even a small nation can become a manufacturing powerhouse. Now the bigger question is, can India use its scale to build something even larger? At first glance, it looks that Vietnam has already won. But the conclusion misses the bigger picture. Vietnam built one of the world's most efficient export manufacturing platforms. India is attempting something much bigger, building a complete industrial economy. That gives India three advantages that a few countries can match. First, scale. A market of more than 1.4 billion people allow manufacturers to export globally while also serving one of the largest consumer markets in the world. Second, talent. India produces one of the world's largest pool of engineers, software professionals, and technical graduates. As factories become smarter and more automated, engineering capability will matter as much as labor costs. Third is diversification. India is investing simultaneously in electronics, semiconductors, renewable energy, electric vehicles, defense manufacturing, and digital infrastructure. That creates multiple growth engines rather than dependence on just one industry. But India also faces challenges. Building factories is easy, but building thousands of globally competitive suppliers is not. That requires faster approvals, lower logistics costs, reliable power, skilled workers, and consistent policy execution over the decades, not just the election cycles. And that is where Vietnam offers its biggest lesson. It was built on consistency. For over 4 decades, Vietnam followed a clear manufacturing strategy. Governments changed, global markets shifted, and economic cycles came and went, but long-term direction remained remarkably stable. And that consistency generated major confidence and trust amongst global investors. The next manufacturing race will look very different from the last one. Artificial intelligence, robotics, semiconductor capability, and resilient supply chains will increasingly determine where companies will invest in future. The winners won't simply be the countries with lowest wages. The future winning countries would be a combination of technology, infrastructure, skilled talent, and trusted institutions into one competitive ecosystem. So did Vietnam shock the world? Absolutely. From ruins of war, it transformed itself into one of the world's most export-driven manufacturing economies. Can India still win? Yes, but not by copying Vietnam. It is between countries that can earn the confidence of global capital and those who cannot. History shows that economic leadership never stays at one place forever. Japan transformed manufacturing in 1980s. South Korea redefined advanced industry. China became the world's factory. Vietnam proved that even smaller nations can control global supply chains. Now the next chapter is being written. The question isn't whether India can catch up with Vietnam. The bigger question is, can India become so competitive that global companies no longer see it as an alternative, but as an essential partner in the future of manufacturing? Because in 21st century, nations do not become economic powerhouses simply by building more factories. They become superpowers when world trusts them to build future for them. And that is the real manufacturing race. If you have liked the content of the video, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And never forget to share it with someone who needs to know all this. Be inspired, keep building.